And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Purple Pill Pod Emergent Value Series. Make sure to like that video on y'all's way in, please, guys. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. I got a really cool show for y'all today where I'm going to go into a lot of detail about my own past, my own history, how I got to this point. This isn't going to be a show where I'm going to break down a lot of facts, but I'm going to go in a lot of detail about myself today, guys, because I don't usually do that. But yeah, please make sure to like the video on the way in, guys. Add us on the Instagram, please, at Purple Pill Pod TX. We're now live on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, and YouTube all at the same time. If you want to show support, you can do that by hitting the join button, become a YouTube member. You can also super chat any questions that you have for me today. We're on all audio platforms as well, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Check out our Discord community, also linked below, and go subscribe to our Purple Pill Pod live channel. Also, just look it up, guys. We really need to grow that channel to see if the algo is going to help us out over there because I'm trying to be a good boy for now on, guys. I'm going to try to put a little bit of a new vibe on the show and try to not cuss as much. Try to be a lot more calm. I've been watching a lot of Kevin Samuels, and I've been watching a lot of this other guy, Psychax. He was on F&F the other day, and I'm going to see if taking a calm approach to the show and to the ladies and all types of different stuff, and see if we can do something with it. See if it makes a difference, especially with the YouTube algorithm. They don't like people that cuss a lot, especially when you're a small channel. I know that this is going to be a great episode. Thank you. I'm really excited about this one, honestly, because I don't ever go into detail about my personal life, guys. Um, I think it's good for us to all learn more about each other. You know, I learn more about the girls, and everybody can learn more about me. Um, so I want to, also say, guys, I've been trying really hard to give y'all a lot of value on these shows. I'm really proud of myself, honestly. I've been getting way better at writing, way better at just, thinking outside the box and trying to come up with more ideas for y'all. Really just peeling back the layers of my own brain to like remember things that I've forgotten and lost and all types of stuff. And I really got to say, guys, there's not another person on the internet that's doing this, putting out as many episodes as I'm putting out, how much content, and doing it all by myself. Shout out to Fresh and Fit. Like it's a two-man crew for them to be able to do what I do by myself. Okay. And I promise you that there's not a lot of people that are putting out as much value as I'm going to be putting out over the next few months. I'm going to be just blowing them completely out of the water, guys, because that's my goal, is to show y'all that they actually put out a lot of fake value. A lot of people on the internet put out a lot of fake value. So I'm going to try to come at y'all with some real shit, some shit that actually comes from experience, unlike a lot of the other people that are in the YouTube space right now. Um, Another thing is, when it comes to religion, guys, a lot of people have the intuition to know about God. Um, I mean, we see people across the planet that are huge religious people, and they really believe in God and spirituality and stuff. The problem always comes down to articulation. There's very few people who are good at articulating spirituality or articulating religion outside of just reading verses from the Bible. So that's what I feel like I'm trying to do. I feel like that's what a lot of people are trying to do. Even say Jordan Peterson. There's a lot of people that are just trying to regurgitate these things in a simpler way for more people in today's time will be able to understand. And I would argue that everybody would want to be a part of a religious group today if they truly understood religion or spirituality, or the whole of all of it. But most people, it's a knowledge gap, like everything, guys. When it comes to making money, when it comes to anything in the world, there's a huge knowledge gap in spirituality and religion as well, mostly because people become dogmatic and they get very stuck in one way of thinking, a fundamentalist way of seeing everything, very literal. Like, we can't avoid this because people are people, and so there's always going to be some people that are NPCs that are going to see something in a very NPC way, and there's going to be some people who see things in a more broader light. Um, Shout out to my people that are in here, though. Please like the video if y'all are in here right now, man. I really appreciate y'all for coming. So to start off, guys, just with my personal journey, I kind of want to explain to y'all, like where my spiritual journey even kind of began, I guess. So in my household, my parents divorced when I was around 6 or 7. I went to Catholic school until first grade, and then when my parents divorced, I got pulled out of Catholic school and went to public school, Red Oak Elementary, or not Red Oak, Eastridge Elementary in Red Oak. And when I went there, um, I completely like at the Catholic private school. I was learning Spanish. I wouldn't say I was very religious, but I was learning the basics of religion. I was able to learn all the things that everybody else learns about religion, all the songs that you learn when you're in kindergarten and stuff. I learned all that stuff, so I knew all the basics of religion. I would say around that point. Um, and then my when my parents divorced, my mother remarried to like a more country guy. I remember going to like the Cowboy Church with her, which is a place down here in Waxahachie, Texas. Um, I remember getting baptized there. I was baptized at birth, but then I was baptized again because I chose to want to be baptized, through that church. It was really fun. I rode bulls at that church. It was a super, super dope church when it comes to like the activities you could do. Really fun. Riding bulls there was an incredible experience. I made really good friends. I honestly, I really liked that church a lot, but I wasn't very influenced by God or anything. It was just one of those things where my mom was going to church, so I'm going to go to church too, just so y'all get a broad range. Like my dad didn't, he never went. I've never seen my dad go to church except for probably on holidays, funerals maybe. For the most part, yeah, my dad just never went to church. Anytime I ever brought up any type of Christianity stuff with him or anything, he just always said, religion is something that's personal. God is something that's in your own heart. It shouldn't be. I think he kind of always saw you as I saw it as like virtue signaling, or saw it as all these people were trying to flex their relationship with God, and maybe they're not even real about it. And he felt he was more real because it was just between him and God. I'm not really sure how my dad saw it, honestly. But yeah, he just never went to church and he never pressured me to do it at all. Um, Around when I was 12 years old in junior high, eighth grade, a new kid sat next to me in a computer literacy class. Um, Whenever I got in that class, this kid had always been going to church. His name was Alan Orcutt. He was a really, really big church kid. He was like one of the leaders of for his age, he was like one of the leaders of the group here at this church called the Oaks here in Dallas, or in South Dallas, Texas. And since he was kind of like a leader of the church, or like he like knew everybody there, he was friends with everybody. It made it like way more fun to go. Obviously, this was already a really fun church, but this made it even more fun. ML Dick. Thank you, bro. You have a managed face for the boy body. Thank you, bro. I've actually been hitting the gym lately, so I'm gonna get a lot bigger soon. I've been doing boxing, also boxing classes. Shout out to my boy Johnny. So I'm gonna be getting pretty big here soon, guys. I appreciate that. I love all y'all's inspiration too for getting me up to that point. But yeah, so I met my friend Alan, and he was also best friends with another kid in our school that was the captain of the football team, the quarterback, and his name was Colby Kissinger. Super cool kid, man. Colby ended up that next year. I ended up moving next door to Colby Kissinger, and we lived next to each other. We played football every day in the front yard. He was super cool, man. Like very good Christian kid. His family was just so dope. I hung out with all of them a lot. I hung out with his older brother all the time. He was a great mentor to me as well. This whole family was just super athletic and just super loved God, and they were the greatest inspiration I could ever have when it comes to like a Christian family being right next door to me. At this time, my mom had got into a second divorce. Um, this is so like I was kind of really alone at this time. I was playing a lot of video games because I was just always home alone. Um I would say that's why I focused a lot on my Christianity at this point. I really had my mom worked all the time. My sister had like a boyfriend. My mom would let the boyfriend stay the night at our house at like 15, 16 years old. They were always doing their thing, and like I was just alone doing my own thing. So I went to church. I had a lot of youth pastors, a lot of guys over me that I really loved to hang out with all the time. I would go play Halo with them as often as I could. I loved just hanging out with people older than me. I loved that. I hated hanging out with people that were my same age. I had done a lot of bad shit, guys, in junior high with the bad group of kids. I was that kid that was making out with all the girls, doing all like I was honestly getting shit done, getting my thing sucked, getting all types of shit done when I was way too young to be getting that shit done. And I just had the most hedonistic friends at that age. Like we were TPing everybody's houses. My mom was cool and let's do all types of shit. We were just doing all types of crazy shit all the time. And so whenever I started this Christian phase of my life, it was just very like the opposite of what I had been doing for like 2 or 3 years with like my bad friends from junior high. And then where did it happen? I think Probably around like 15 years old. I was a part of a video game forum called gamingvids.com, and it was a bunch of kids who played Halo all the time, and we were just posting montages and shit like that. I was really big in that community, and then all of a sudden, one of the guys in that community posted a video called Zeitgeist, and it was called Zeitgeist the movie, and I remember watching it. I was about 15 years old. I think it came out in like 2006, and this movie just like changed my life, guys. It was the first section of it was about religion. It was about how like Jesus' story was basically the same as all these other people from history story, like Krishna, um, uh, Set or not Set, which I can't remember like which Egyptian god. But you would just notice that there's this story that was over and over and over again in history. You can also read about this in Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero of a Thousand Faces. And once I saw that, and I was like, oh wow, all these stories are the same. Like Jesus' story wasn't the first time this was said; it was said many, many times before, and it's all connected to the constellations, and that's because we used to worship astrology. And and like you start learning about all this history, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is what religion, this is what Jesus is. I don't believe in this anymore. um there's a second part in that Zeitgeist movie where he talks about something called the Venus Project, which is like the most communist thing you could ever imagine, like exactly what Soros would ever want. Like we're talking a community where nobody owns anything and we're all happy. Like a technocratic society where everything is ran and taken care of, and we just get to pursue knowledge and going to space and exploring and all this stuff. A really cool utopian idea. Um, Around the end of the video, it talks about something I talk all the time about: the symbiotic aspects of nature and the emergent aspect reality of nature, which shows that symbiotic aspect of nature, rule of nature, is showing that everything around us is all connected to us. We were all made from stardust, so we are all nothing, but at the same time we're all so incredible. And you have that power in your hands. That's the sim. And if one thing disappears, we all disappear. If the air disappeared right now, we'd all die. If just one little piece of the equation was gone, we'd all be gone. So we're all connected and we're all together, and we're all needing each other to be here together and happy. So like that was something that really changed me. And then also the emergent aspect of reality, where things are always going to be changing, we're always going to be updating, we're always going to be getting better. um that was just something that really pushed me at the time to just always be okay with being wrong, and be okay with learning something new as often as I can. No matter how stupid I would sound or anything, I was willing to always be wrong. I remember after I watched that video, there was two things I did. I went and talked to my pastor and about the Jesus thing. It didn't go good. I completely went against like all of religion and Christ and like all of my friends from the church, because I thought I was right, and that Jesus wasn't even a real thing. Like he was just a story that was made up based off of constellations and stuff like that. And that's what the 12 disciples were and all that shit. Like Jesus was just the personification of the sun, is what I thought. And then I went to my dad and I was like, Dad, society's messed up. How we create money is messed up. It's all created with debt. It's all created under interest. Look at the IMF. Look at all these things. And my dad was just like, yo, 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 like that's just how shit is. Like you guys have to learn to take advantage of it. And that idea, the Venus Project, of that world where everything, the technocrat world where everything's taken care of, that's not real. It's not real, son. It's a utopian idea. And I pushed back. I never agreed with them on it. I was always like, no, no, no. This is really going to happen one day. Like I think anybody when they're young has these mentalities, because you see how hard it is to ever break through. Even at 15, 16, I knew that when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, the chance of me becoming a billionaire one day, it was just so rare. It was just never going to happen. So like I think we have that feminine social mind, where like we want everything to be fair and given to each other and stuff. I was very anti-capitalistic. It was all because of this movie that Peter Joseph had made. And I still support Peter Joseph, though, by the way, and I still support Zeitgeist. I still think it's great videos. I just think you take it with a grain of salt, like most things in this world, just like objectivism, just like anything else, like Ayn Rand. Even if you go all the way right to Ayn Rand. Um, yeah, please everybody like the video on y'all's way in. Thank y'all for watching. But yeah, so Zeitgeist really pushed me into the other direction. I would say at this time, guys, this is when I started smoking weed. I was like 16 or 17. I definitely became a huge shithead, hanging out with the bad kids again, doing the bad shit again. I was a late bloomer, guys, so like I didn't go through puberty. I actually left high school around 15, 16 years old, because I was bullied really bad. Like all my friends, I started going to church and doing that stuff more, and all my friends started, partying, fucking, like doing all the bad stuff, and I just wasn't doing that anymore. I was going to church and shit, so I stopped going to school. I started homeschooling. It was a program where I could teach myself, and I graduated early at 17. It was really dope. When I was graduated, though, I didn't have any friends to really hang out with except for the people that I smoked weed with. And that's how I got into like going to clubs. I met, there was a girl that I was like kind of did wrong early on in my life, and she ended up becoming my best friend later on, even after I'd done her wrong when we were like 13 years old. And when she became like my best friend, I started going to clubs with her. Um, Guys, I at this point I had gone to like church events where like it was a church, where people put their hands in the air, people talking the tongues and all that stuff. It was non-denominational. So it was very the worships were always extremely spiritual, okay? So around this time I listened to like Under Oath. I'd gone to Warped Tour. I'd gone to some concerts and seen like Under Oath and Delaware's Prada and these different bands that were like screamo bands, and just seeing the passion and just feeling that with the music, like that feeling, guys, like I couldn't help but notice that that was the same feeling I had from church as I had at like the screamo concerts. As whenever I was 19, 20, guys, or when I was 18, my parents kicked me out because I was going to raves with that girl. And I was getting the same feeling at these raves. Like I was getting this immense spiritual feeling at these raves, just like how I had at the screamo concerts in those mosh pits, just like how I had at church with my hands in the air. And it was just, I think this was a really big turning point in my life where I kind of started to see science and spirituality and all these things as like kind of starting to come together. This was around the time when I was reading Joseph Campbell. I read Ayn Rand around this time because I had a mentor when I was 21 that gave me Atlas Shrugged, and really changed my life a lot. He was a huge mentor in my life. He was actually the boyfriend to the girl that I was talking about. Most of my mentors I met were through her, actually, guys. This is why I preach so much becoming friends with the hottest girl you can find, because it usually ends up opening doors to you that you would never had opened up to you. Um, um, the reason why I was bringing up the music thing, is like string theory actually proves that music is very much the same as God. Like when you really think about it, like string theory is, there's a vibration going across universes, and there's one vibration that's the strongest in our universe, and I think it's just music being played. Um and that's why we connect so closely to music. It was around this time whenever I kind of went full deep into hedonism, guys. I had a lot of really bad relationships. I was with girls I was doing a lot of really bad stuff with, cocaine, like all the bad drugs that you can imagine, ecstasy, acid, shrooms. I did everything, guys. And I also sold drugs at this time too. I was like that guy that just did everything. I went full down the path of hedonism. I even owned an owl, guys. I thought it was cool to even own a bird that was a bird of prey that was illegal. I thought I was a fucking wizard. I'm not kidding. I literally called myself a wizard. I thought I was so cool. But when I was on this whole path of like hedonism, it just all equaled really bad things. One of my relationships was started with a threesome. Like obviously that was something that wasn't gonna last very long. But I was just really living that life, guys, because part of me thought, when I read Joseph Campbell's books, when I learned about the hero's journey, when I learned about, darkness and light, um I thought I had to experience a lot of bad things. And by learning and experiencing all the bad, doing all the wrong, doing everything that everyone told me not to do, my parents, church, just my friends, just do everything the opposite of what everybody says is healthy and good to do. And look and see what happens. Like because only going down into those trenches, into that darkness, into that cave, was I going to be able to come out with the answers to help those around me, I thought. And part of me is happy I did it. Part of me is happy I did all of it. It did change me a lot, and it did build a lot of character that was needed to be built. And I think that those journeys that I went on, it was meant for me to be able to come and teach people who are going through the same things right now. I went and put myself through those things because I knew one day there was going to be somebody else that was going through that same thing, that I was going to be able to help them through it one day. I think this is what most people's paths are. All the Bible does is it lays out a path for you so you don't have to do that. You don't you can just listen to these rules and you don't have to go down the darkness and experience it yourself and test it. The Bible will just sit there and tell you exactly what it is, so you don't have to make those mistakes like the other people did. One of the things I just wrote down, I want to talk about, like, are we all meant for a hero's journey? Are we all meant to do these things? I don't think we all are. There's a lot of people that are NPCs and they're going to stay NPCs their whole life. They're not going to test anything. They're not going to go and see if what they're capable of or what the darkness holds. They're going to stay in the light all the time. And I think that's a safe thing to do for most people. I think it's a good thing to do for most people. There's very few that are meant to go all the way down the darkness and then still make it out alive. Um, Also, are they all literal? Are is everybody a fundamentalist? Is everybody being literal about spirituality in the Bible? Are you being a fundamentalist? Are you reading everything literal? I think that that's something that a lot of Christians are holding on to, like with all their strength. But I also don't think that that's a good thing to be holding on to, because we're going to have to meet the world of science and meet the world of, you know, um, evolution and just how DNA and how everything really is versus how we want it to be, which is, the fundamentalist view of everything being 10,000 years old and shit. um, when you research Buddhism and Hinduism, guys, like, you'll start learning it's just all about balance. Every other religion that you start getting into, especially Eastern ones, you're just gonna start learning it's all about balance, the yin and yang, darkness to the light, good and bad. Um, so no matter how you see any of these things, you're going to learn that they all come together and have the same beliefs. They all believe in evil and good, and we're all just all in this life of going up in waves and going between good and bad, good and bad. We're all doing the same thing, no matter where you're at on the planet, no matter which religion you speak to. We're all talking about the same things and asking for forgiveness, technically, in the same things. So this is where it usually gets a little where people would disagree with me on a little bit, is that I think Christianity is also all about this balance. Jesus Christ himself was just an example of perfection. He was perfect just like God because he was God's son. The Trinity shows that he was also God. So because he was perfect, that is what that's the whole point of him, is to show it, to give an example. We hear these stories of what Jesus did and what he said and how he acted, and that's to show us an example of what perfection is. This is like this is perfection. It's like God is perfection, okay? So he's just showing a parallel line, something that in geometry is just perfect. Parallel lines, okay? They're just showing us perfection. They're showing us parallel lines. And the whole point is for us, because we're not perfect, to try to become perfect. All it is light and we are darkness. That's all it is. And it's trying to bridge the gap between light and darkness. And it's the same for all other religions. When you look at Hinduism, when you look at Buddhism, when you look at all these different things, it's all the same. Jesus just said it in a different way. He gave us an example of how to be and how to act. Jewish religions, guys, like, they do occult rituals. I need y'all to look up, as much as you can about everything about the Jews. Hasidic Jews, just go all the way back, read about everything that they do, and a lot of it is very ritualistic. A lot of it, in my opinion, is very demonic. Like, it's anything that has rituals in it, I don't support at all. And I think that anybody who's ever fallen into the cult before, which I did in my early 20s, I did certain things, and I'm not happy about it. I understand what I was doing. I understand the power behind all of it. I understand the occult very well, and I think that everybody needs to just understand that even Catholicism, it's part of the occult. Like, they're doing rituals all the time, rituals that are just based around Jesus Christ, but at the end of the day, they are still rituals. Um, I don't think any of those things are ever good, guys. I don't think the energy that comes from ritualistic things is ever good. That's why anytime we see anything that's a ritual, we see it as bad. Just like the Bohemian Grove stuff. That was a ritual, guys. Like, what is the difference between that ritual and the Christian ritual of drinking Jesus's, doing like all the exact acts of what Jesus did at the Last Supper? I just don't see a difference in it. Um, so yeah, and today, guys, I think we can all agree that there's a darkness in everything right now. That there's just darkness, just period. Whether you look at it from a stance of economically, just the world religiously, scientifically, there's darkness on every side of everything. Like I would say 90%, 95% of the world is darkness, just teaching really bad, dark shit. That's not good. It's all bad. So why would the Bible not also be corrupt or have some darkness in it? Or was cut off in certain points. A lot of Christians disagree with me on this one too. But there's two times when the Bible has had stuff taken out from it, and I still haven't seen a good stance of if those things were taken out for good reason. One thing that I will agree with it though is that all of it does come together perfectly. The whole Bible comes, especially like the Old Testament and New Testament, when it all comes together. There's not anything that comes together more perfect than our Bible. But like I said, I always have an open mind, guys, that there's certain things that have been removed or there's certain things that have been added. But for the most part, I'm going to dig deep and find the best things in there. Islam also, guys, it promotes violence. To me, it cannot be the light because it promotes violence for us to be able to fix things. And I don't think that any type of religion that promotes violence or says that we should force things on others is going to ever be like the light of Christianity. And even Islam recognizes who Jesus Christ was. And even in the Old Testament, guys, it speaks of Jesus many times. Jesus is referenced back, being the Jewish Messiah of the Old Testament over and over and over again. I would highly suggest everybody listens to something called the Bible Project on YouTube or watch the videos. It's a guy that draws out stories of the each book of the Bible in like 10 minutes ish or less, and he goes through the book really quick and gives you a summary, a visual summary of it all. And I can't express to y'all enough that if y'all watch that whole thing, you'll notice from the Old Testament to the New Testament, it is a perfect story. You perfectly see where they talk about a Messiah coming in the Old Testament, and then you perfectly see Jesus being that exact example that they talked about. Exactly. Word for word, doing exactly what was said to be done. And so it's really hard to deny it whenever you read the whole Bible in that whole way. A lot of y'all don't have time to read the Bible. I don't blame you. It takes so much time to read the whole Bible. So I don't think that anybody does. But you do have time to sit there and watch the entire Bible Project on YouTube. So go watch it. Go watch the whole thing. And I promise you that y'all are going to have a whole different view on Christianity just from reading the whole Bible all the way through, just watching it at least. Um, Another good example of, Christianity is the truth is, why are we in AD and BC time periods? Why do we use after death and before Christ? That is because we're obviously in a world that is ruled by Christianity, and Christianity is that true that we use it to even go off our time today. Obviously, see, this is like one of those steel mans where how could you disagree with Christianity in this way? Historians do not deny that there was also 6 eyewitness accounts that Jesus' tomb was empty. Nobody denies that. Nobody denies that there was 6 eyewitness. This is all historians, guys, Jewish ones, atheist ones, all of them. They cannot deny that is a fact. Okay. No scholar denies that individuals and groups saw post-mortem appearances of Jesus. They're only questioning whether it was a hallucination or not, and they're willing to die for this. There was all of his disciples were willing to literally die, to prove the fact that they saw him alive after he died. That's another steel man. No one denies that the original disciples didn't fully believe that God had raised Jesus from the dead. Okay. The only question after these 3 facts is, how do you explain them, though? How do you explain all those things? And there's just not a lot of explanations for it, guys. Paul was writing to the Corinthians possibly also only 5 years after Christ had risen. So a lot of that work could have been from that early on. Jesus' story was also seen by 500 witnesses that were all willing to die for what they saw. 500 people. So these are a lot of stillmans that are just really, really hard to push back. And a lot of historians do not disagree with these. Actual historians that are not Christians. We're talking Jewish, Islam, all religions, even Buddhist and Hindu ones have even gone and studied all these things over the last 2,000 years. Guys, the Bible has been one of the most tested and just pushed against books of all of history. We've had historians for centuries that have tried to debunk all these different things, and they failed over and over and over again. The emperor of Rome, Tiberius, at the same time as Jesus, he only had 10 people write about him. Okay, only 10 people. He was a Roman Caesar, and there was over 40 people that wrote about Jesus. Over 40. Okay, they were alive at the exact same time. All historians believe Jesus did die on the cross, though, across all religions and atheists. They all can agree that there was a man that was named Jesus from that area that went and died on the cross. They can all agree that across the plane. All of them. So guys, like Jesus is just a light. You can move to darkness if you want. But like I said, he's just an example of perfection. I just really had to like drill that in, just the parallel of God with Jesus. Um, and also Jesus is just the ultimate example of balance between the yin and the yang. I see him as the same. And a lot of people don't really understand that Jesus was actually an outlaw. Everybody kind of sees him as like this weak ass dude that didn't do anything. No, he was a badass. Like, yeah, he might have cried a little bit, but then he also like went and turned tables and was willing to like tell everybody that they were wrong and they were dumb. Even his own brother, his own family was saying, "Dude, you're being crazy," and he was just like, "Nah, bro, I ain't crazy. I ain't crazy." Like y'all, like I have all these people who back me. That's all that matters. I ain't crazy. I want everybody to just always remember though that God is nature. A lot of people aren't realizing the difference between the two sometimes, and I think that's what causes a lot of confusion. Is that to me, God is just nature, just trying to tell us the best path for us to go. It's it's something like you can't really put into words, but it's easy to see that there is a best for us all as humans, and that's all God technically is. It's just nature trying to push us, the universe trying to push us into the right path, looking at itself. If y'all ever seen the Fibonacci sequence, in the universe, why is it spiral? Why does gravity do what it does? Why do we see that same thing in flower petals and different things in the universe? So that's the fingerprint of God. That's what makes us different from everywhere else. Um, Now I was going to go into a little bit more of a science section, guys. I wanted y'all to understand how much science kind of proves it itself, because if you really dig deep, you'll start realizing that even science proves it more. You don't even need a spiritual stance on anything. Science itself, right now, Michio Kaku, one of my greatest astrophysicists I look up to, he has proved God multiple times, and it was with nothing but mathematician and science, or with mathematics and science. Science shows that even just being born, guys, even the Big Bang just happening in our universe, the chance of that happening, because think about there's multi-universe, like we can use string theory to see that there's multiple universes. There's a multiverse theory, and if there's multiple universes, most of them are dead. Most of them don't have anything going on in them. Most of them don't have life or gravity or anything like we have here. It's a bunch of failed systems, a bunch of really failed systems, and we just happen to be born in the one that isn't failed. We just have just the chance of you even being born, like the amount of sperm that went to that egg and then you were born. Every part of your life is as religious and spiritual as it gets when you really do the math behind it. The chance of you being born, it can't get any more spiritual than that. It can't get more godly than that. Just the chances of it all happening. Um, Probably very few universes even have stable protons. And that's kind of the basis of everything that we have here. It's all based off of our stable protons. Because whenever you have stable protons, that's how you can turn things into elements. And once you have elements, you can make DNA. Once you have DNA, we have life. So we're very lucky to even have stable protons in just this universe. Um, all the parameters are tuned just right for us, even gravity, because if gravity was too strong or if it was too weak, we would just the universe just wouldn't work correctly, it would just fall apart. So even whenever you look at all that, this is all called the fine tuning theory. Just look up, just Google or YouTube the fine tuning theory, and that's how that's a scientific example of how we can prove that God is a real thing. Especially at least in this universe, the one that we are in is definitely a God controlled one in some way, shape, or form. And we're just lucky to be a part of it. Uh, we could also be in the Goldilocks zone of a universe. So, say, like, just like how our planet happened to be in the Goldilocks zone of our star system, our universe might just be in the Goldilocks zone of all the other universes that just happens to be in the perfect place to have the perfect gravity, have the stable protons and everything for us to have DNA, for us to have stable life here. When you choose to live by religion or scripture, guys, you're just choosing to tap into higher knowledge and truth that is just timeless. And you can live this way, and you can live a great life by just tapping into this infinite knowledge that's always been there. You can learn the hard way though, which is like what I did, and then you're just gonna end up coming back to the truth and the light at the end, anyways. Though, I don't think it's worth it for you to go and take it the hard way, because I promise you, you're just gonna end up going right back to the light. We all want connection at the end of the day. We all want the truth. And that's all God is. It's just connection, and it's just the truth. It's really no more complicated than that. Every day, math and science is proving more and more towards the point that God is a provable fact. Whenever I was 15 years old and I was watching Zeitgeist, it was a very atheist, scientific world online. And there's just no way that these things could be proven. And over the last 15, 16, 17 years, it's completely different, guys. There's so much proof out there showing the complete opposite of what I was thinking, 15 years ago. Um, the red pill is really missing a lot of spirituality, and that's honestly where the Riz is actually from. Is understanding how to balance with your emotional and spiritual side. There's a reason why the nerd with the guitar gets all the girls, guys, and it's really it's just that simple. If you're a red pill guy and you just feel like you're very logical, you're very spocky, you're very logical all the time about everything, and you have no emotional or spiritual side to yourself, I mean, you could do that, but have fun having no Riz, bro. Have fun not being able to get girls at all unless you read like a script on how to get them, because that's what women really like and respect, is a guy that has that side to him. And it's something that leads him. Women are always looking for a man with purpose. They're not looking for a guy that is moving through a hedonistic lifestyle, just chasing money, just chasing all these pointless things. Women really do care about finding a guy that's on his purpose, and sometimes that's a spiritual purpose. Even in the seasons of the even the seasons of the years, guys, they're very much correlated to religion. So I'm going to do another show probably in a couple of months that's going to be more based around stuff like that. I also want to go into something called the Pharmaceutical Inquisition, which was where they removed a lot of things from the Bible, or different things that had to do with different types of drugs. Because the things that we always talk about today is just alcohol. This is something where like the red pill space is like really, really the opposite of like Joe Rogan on, and I'm very much more like Joe Rogan on. So we're gonna dig deep in a few episodes. We'll talk about that, and it's gonna connect back to the religious and spiritual talks and stuff. But guys, really at the end of the day, I just want everybody to understand that red pill and spirituality, they're both one and the same thing. They really are. Because the red pill is seeking the truth, and at the end of the day, the truth is in religion, it's in spirituality, it's in finding something deeper than what words can say. Like at the beginning of this, guys, I was telling y'all that the biggest problem is that a lot of people have these intuitions about God, but we don't know how to articulate it. Almost nobody knows how to articulate it. And that's the biggest issue. How do you articulate something as such as God? It's very hard. So through the scientific method, guys, we will use the red pill, we will use spirituality, and we will find the truth, which at the end of the day is the same thing. So I know a lot of people are going to hate this video because the red pill, the praxeology, it's all, it's all science based. It's all this real. But guys, even the guys that spew that shit, bro, they don't even say the real red pill, guys. I'm going to do another episode soon where I'm going to actually bring up all the stuff in the red pill space, or all the stuff in the red pill space that's talked about all the time, and then all the stuff in evolutionary psychology that's never talked about. because what y'all are going to learn is the red pill space cherry picks data like crazy. Every book I read on Evo site, guys, I find another giant section that Rolo or anybody else could have used in their books. That was a great thing for men or women sometimes. Shit. And it's not used. And it's just like, what? That's an amazing stat, or that's an amazing thing. Like, why isn't this ever brought up? Oh, I know why. Because it doesn't go with their agenda. Oh, that's not gonna. Oh no, why would I say that stat when it's gonna make these guys like the women, or think that the women are better or something? No. That's not with the agenda. The agenda is women bad. So we got to make sure to only put out cherry pick stats like that, guys. So yeah, I can't wait to do that show. Hopefully, I can do that one in the next week or two. I'm trying to build it all together in my notes to make sure I have a really good one for y'all. Um, but yeah, thank y'all for coming, guys. I just wanted y'all to. I guess I didn't really end it with like my spiritual journey. So now, guys, I'm at a point where I just put it all together, though. Um, I cherry pick the best information from religions, all of them, and I pull them all together into one thing. And I would say Christianity is the top of my list for the most like truth, the most scientific backed truth. I would say Christianity is at the top, so I'm mostly pulled towards that. But I respect all the religions a ton. I support all other religions a ton. I think there's a lot of gold in a lot of other spaces, and you need to take that gold and bring it in with you. Um, I don't think that there's anything good about just choosing one thing, guys, whether it's just saying I'm a red pillar or just saying I'm an atheist or just saying any of that shit. Guys, we live in a world today where we have to take the best of everything. You have to stand on the shoulders of giants more than ever. If you want to become rich, if you want to become good at anything, you have there. You know how much competition you have out here. You have to stand on the shoulders of giants more now than ever. And you think religion is separate from that? You think spirituality is separate from that? Absolutely not. You have to stand on the shoulders of giants for those too. You have to make sure you're checking everything. That's the only way where you know that you're going to have the real truth, guys, the real light, as we say. But no, I really appreciate everybody for coming for this little pre-show. We got the ladies coming here in a little bit to have the night show, hopefully. I need to make sure that they're not messaging me and shit. But guys, I will see y'all here in a little bit. Please make sure to like the video on y'all's way out if you're watching right now. Also, if you can, go subscribe to our other channel, Purple Pill Pod Live. We're trying to push that out. I know the algo is going to bless us a lot more over there. So please go subscribe over there and like the video on that one too, just to be an awesome friend. And always open up on both browsers because that's what cool people do. I really appreciate everybody though for all y'all support. I will see y'all here in a little bit. Peace out.